The future for Jimmy Kimmel's show, and I guess any show that dares to be critical of the administration, critical of those with power and money and influence, is totally up in the air right now. His show is currently in indefinite suspension, but apparently Walt Disney executives are gonna meet with Jimmy Kimmel to assess the future of his show. Disney apparently has told him that it wants to de-escalate the situation, which has resulted in attacks from the White House and death threats to employees. Weird, it must be those damn libs doing the death threats to Disney employees, because we know they're the violent ones after all. The company hasn't asked Kimmel to apologize, nor does Kimmel have any plans to do so. What's interesting is that he was apparently put on suspension right before he could go live with his show, in which he was going to do a second monologue about the situation of the politicization of the death of Charlie Kirk. And in it, he was gonna clarify what he meant in the first one, which I don't think needs to be clarified. Again, he did not say that the killer of Charlie Kirk was MAGA. He did not mock Charlie Kirk or his family or his kids or anything like. He didn't do any of the things that the right is saying. But anyway, he was gonna go above and beyond to clarify it, but was gonna be critical of MAGA and Trump. And then they axed it. You don't get to do that, I guess. You don't get to criticize the president in this incredibly unfree society that we live in right now. And they say that the soonest the show could return is September 22nd, which I guess would be Monday. But honestly, Brett, why would he come back? Like, what would he be coming back to at this point? They already have shown. Let me give you make a face. If you want. We still have free speech here.
You
baited
the hook. What's
okay,
the rest?
You're on the hook now. Okay, so he has already been shown that not even if he says something unacceptable, because we already know from the initial reporting, the Disney execs did not consider anything he said to have gone too far. It's just that the right pretended to think that it was, and so they suspended him. They've already shown that they're willing to suspend him if the right freaks out. And so whether explicitly or implicitly, what would the environment be for his show to exist in? What would he be allowed to say? What would he feel free? What jokes would he feel free to tell? Would he feel willing to criticize Donald Trump, knowing that it's entirely possible he could be axed once again if he were to do that? Like, I feel like this is as chilled an environment as it could possibly be for a host like him. Do you disagree?
You go back and you do the same stuff you were doing before.
And
they kick you off again.
No, I don't disagree that he should do that, but what's the point of that, I guess? Do you think
I don't know. If he didn't go, if he was offered the opportunity to return and he didn't, I guess he'd have to justify that. And I'm sure there's a justification that makes sense. But like, I'd go back. I go back the next day and not change who I am. Period. Yeah. I mean, I was kicking around that I saw Jon Stewart did it, but like doing a segment that is being cowed into compliance and satirically embrace the concept of being cowed into compliance.
Yeah,
like Jon Stewart did a whole monologue.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that in a couple minutes.
But so you think he should go back? That's what a comedian does. Is they look for the best way to do it next.
Yeah,
like you look for the bit. You look for the joke in this moment that you all laughed at in the pitch room, and you do it on television. That's just what late night shows, what any show is.
Yeah. Do you think, before we move on to Jon Stewart, I know that after Colbert, Trump said Jimmy Kimmel's next, and then he was suspended and might never come back. And then as soon as he was suspended, he said that Jimmy and Seth are next. Do you think is that just inevitable at this point? What do you think?
I've just always seen NBC as the most in line with my sense of humor, just all throughout, from 30 Rock, Conan.
Yeah,
all that stuff. I mean, Leno versus Letterman's the only exception, right? But I still respect in all comedians. I think NBC would be more likely to protect it, especially because everybody would probably not coalesce around Fallon. He's already the thing everybody wants him to be. That Trump would want him to be. And that's just who he is. He shouldn't change who he is. He's a comedian. He should do his comedian ideas that he thinks are good. I think everyone would coalesce around Seth Meyers. And to say that they have bad ratings is absolute horse crap, because they have solid ratings for what television is now on late night TV, but we watch the hell, and there's value to the content that makes it to our phones at some point.
Yeah.
Not on the streaming, even on the streaming platforms instantly. And then after that, just like little bits making it into our feeds. Like that is valuable.
I saw a thing, so I posted on Twitter or whatever a little bit about this stuff, and so they're trying to pretend that this is because of his ratings or whatever. Again, it's not because Brendan Carr, hours before he was fired, said that they have to fire him. Basically, it's his ratings. So they show like a chart going back to like 2011, and like the ratings trended down. And I'm like, I'm not like an expert on TV, but I feel like several things have changed in the past 14 years in the media environment. Like, I think a lot of shows get less views than they did back then.
But here, this is the point I want to make. It is ratings. He would not be cancelable if he had high enough ratings. I'll give you a very specific late night television story. At the height of 2.5 Men, I knew one of the head writer on the Late Late Show, or the one with Ferguson, right? And the standards and practices were up Ferguson's ass on what he could and couldn't say that wasn't in compliance. And so they just started turning on 2.5 Men and writing down the jokes that were able to be on TV during prime time and compared them to how much more graphic and disgusting they were than the ones they got axed on the less watched, because it's 11:30 p.m. or 12:30 a.m. Late Show, the Ferguson show. Yeah. So that's the commercial ballast I'm talking about. But the reason that Trump will always win these is now you have to have way higher ratings in order to justify the network keeping you, unless they have morals, which it's just like they have so many other responsibilities. The bottom line, you have to rely on you have to have much higher ratings and much because the other side of the coin is the network disappearing versus losing a couple $1 million in ads. That's the thing that everyone needs to understand about the difference between the FCC saying I'm pulling ABC's license versus Unilever saying like, all right, for an hour I'm not going to advertise Lever 2000 soap.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what ends up happening with them. I'm very curious to see when SNL comes back in 2 Saturdays from now, I think it is, maybe 3. What they're gonna do. I mean, again, that's NBC. And certainly they've been critical of him in the past, but there've been periods where they've tried to back off that a little bit. They obviously brought him on, they brought Elon Musk on and everything. And we know that Donald Trump loves tweeting about SNL. So we'll see. I guess they're probably lucky that they did not come back 3 weeks ago, I would guess, because that would put them in a very difficult position.
If you enjoyed that, then make sure that you never miss another video by subscribing. And if you want a little more, consider hitting the join button and becoming a member. So you're probably wondering, why would I do that? Well, when you do that, you get access to bonus content that I make every single week, and it's a lot of fun. You get custom emojis and more. If you join at tier 3, by the way, you even get access to a monthly member hangout with myself. And you'll get all that going forward, but you'll also unlock years of the back catalog that is literally 100 or more bonus clips and top 10 lists and debates and more. So what are you waiting for?